Welcome to The Road Reflected with Nicole Wakeland. Automotive from the lighter side. That means cars, but also cookies, coffee, and pie. Up first, what's Nicole behind the wheel of this week?
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. So this week, I'm going to start off with a convertible.
Ooh, is that what you're driving?
Yes, I have two cars to talk about. The first one's a convertible, and perfect for this time of year because it's the end of summer. It's like the end of August.
Autumn is convertible time. The leaves are falling. They're turning colors.
I know. Everybody thinks of it as summer, but really, honestly, summer, the second you stop at a traffic light.
Too hot.
Oh, you melt. But even in New England, it's too hot. So I like that things start to cool down. So it's the end of August. It's perfect convertible weather. And I got what is one of my favorite convertibles. I have loved this car forever. I have a BMW Z4.
It's small but peppy.
It is small but peppy. Is that the BMW Z4? Small but peppy.
Small but peppy.
Yeah. But I've always liked this. I don't know why. It was like even before I started doing this job, like years and years and years ago, I've always just loved this. I like the look of it. I rode in one. We had a friend who used to have one.
Is it technically is it a roadster?
Yeah, I think you could call it. Yeah.
What's a roadster?
I think a roadster is technically a roadster is anything like a two-seater convertible.
Okay. Well, that's what it is. Two-seater convertible.
So I love this. And even though having a convertible is absolutely ridiculous in New Hampshire because we have a very limited number of days. Like we have a very short spring. We have a nice little short fall.
Yeah, it's like having a pool. It's not really a very effective season.
It's not practical, but I don't feel like if you're buying a convertible, it's just not practical by definition.
Correct.
So, and this is a two-seater, which most, a lot of convertibles are. There are four-seaters, and I feel like most of that needs an air quotes no one can see because a lot of times the back seats is like, really? Who's going to sit back there?
Nobody.
So this is great. But the thing I like about this, so you've been in a Miata, which is the car for convertibles, right? The answer to the question is Miata. That's what this is.
Well, because it's an affordable roadster.
Right, because it's affordable. But I like the BMW Z4 because it's a little bit bigger. I mean, this isn't spacious, but you are 6'3".
Yes.
And when you try to get into a Miata, it's YouTube worthy.
Not my favorite car.
Yeah.
Not my favorite.
He has to contort into it.
Yeah, it's a little small for me.
Yeah, it's like legroom, headroom all around. It's too small for you, right?
Yeah, it really is.
But the Z4, still not a spacious SUV, but how did you fit into that one? Did you feel more comfortable?
More comfortable. Still, those small cars are always going to be the non-ideal choice for a person of my stature.
For tall men.
But it's much more comfortable than the Miata for sure.
And I like driving it even just not being 6'3", being 5'6", because I just feel like it feels roomier, it feels larger, it feels more open. Sometimes the roadsters can just feel a little confined, and I like how this feels. And it has pretty heavy bolstering on the sides of the seats to hold you in place, because presumably you're driving a sporty little BMW, you're going to have a little bit of fun with it. This one has a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. It's got 255 horsepower, so it's going to move.
Yeah, it does feel like you're pepping along.
And it handles beautifully. This is a sports car. It's a BMW. I like how BMWs handle. I think it's hard to argue that they don't drive well and have that kind of road feel. It's like this is for someone who wants to drive a car, who likes to drive a car.
Yeah.
So I definitely feel like it has that. But the only thing it has an 8-speed automatic, which is brilliant, but there is no manual. No manual transmission.
Interesting choice.
Yeah. And
Did they explain why that is?
Because no one buys them.
Okay. Well, that could be it. There's no market for it.
Fewer and fewer people are buying manual transmissions. I feel like at some point it's going to be something that nobody drives anymore and no one knows how to drive. But automatics are getting better and better and better. And the one that's in the Z4 is fabulous. It just shifts so crisply. It's so good at delivering the power, knowing exactly when to shift. So you get, if you mash that gas pedal, it goes. And it goes smoothly with nothing harsh.
I love that part.
Yeah, and because it's still, even though it's sporty, this BMW is also a luxury brand. So you have to have that sort of balance between delivering sports car performance and fun and handling, but also being a luxury car. So you have to have an element of it's comfortable, it's smooth, it's fun to drive, you enjoy it. This one is one you wouldn't mind driving for a long distance. You wouldn't feel like at the end of the day you've been driving.
No, it feels like a road trip car.
Yeah.
It does actually feel that way. Because, for my height, getting in and out's still a little awkward. But once you're in it, I don't feel cramped.
Yeah.
It feels very comfortable. And when you're having fun driving it, I am still comfortable as the passenger.
Yes, you're not getting tossed around.
No, I feel well bolstered.
You're well bolstered, so you're held in place.
But not overly bolstered, which can be an error many manufacturers make.
Yes, I know. Sometimes they're so tight, you're like, now I'm squished. Now I don't want to be held that tightly. Please let go of me. And it being a convertible, when you drop the top, which I feel like you should anytime you can. It's like you said, especially fall, turn the heat up a little.
What is nice is, did you talk about the little button when you push it, the roof goes down, which I know everybody has, but this one's like smooth, fast.
Yes.
And nothing extra to do, so you can easily drop it and pop it back up.
Yeah, I think the thing was that it said that it's supposed to happen. I want to say it was like in under 10 seconds or something, and it's like it speeds up to about 30 miles an hour. So you can't go like beaming down the highway.
Yeah, you don't want to do it on a highway.
So if you're like sitting at a traffic light and you've stopped and you want to put down the top, and it's a quick light, by the time you get back up to speed after light change, your top is.
But it's nice if you're like in a 25-mile-an-hour side road.
Yeah, on the side
you can
road,
have the top down, and as you approach the on-ramp for the highway, you have time to put it up. So which is really nice. Or, if you're on the highway and a storm starts, it's easy to pull under a bridge, put it up, and go. It's like it's so fast that you're not nervous about dropping it.
Yes, and then once you do put the top up on it, one of the things that can be a challenge again in a convertible is, unless it's a hard top, like there's a Miata RF, which is a hard top, but this is a soft top, that you have the road noise is really loud because you just got a canvas top over your head, right? So that canvas is not designed to block all sound, but they've put other things on there so that it is relatively quiet. Like we drove it on the highway with the windows up for a little bit, and we were passing.
I had to double check that it was canvas. I thought it might have been a hardtop.
Yeah, it's that
so
quiet, right? Which is something
yeah.
right there. I feel like, wait a minute, what kind of convertible top is this?
Right.
That's a pretty good testament to how well they've insulated it, and that means because you're driving, especially if you're living someplace that's not California or Florida or someplace that's sunny most of the year, there's going to be rain, there's going to be snow, it's going to be too cold to have the top down, and you don't want to always hear that noise,
Yeah.
And at highway speeds, it can be, I feel like on a highway, you only drive so far with a convertible top down. Because the wind does get to be a bit much. It's like a side road thing. You want to cruise along little side roads, have the wind blowing in your hair, enjoying the breeze. You can't see I'm making breezy hands.
Yeah, you're making breezy hands.
Now. Like breezy hand, like wind going through your hair.
No, it's definitely got that, but it has the roadster. I mean, all that. It's great for like a little Sunday drive, maybe a picnic in the little tiny small cargo area.
It's a tiny little cargo area.
But it's not, there's not room there's no jump seat kind of situation.
Yeah.
You need to be a couple in this situation.
Yes, this is just for two people.
Yeah,
this is a two-person car.
It's very much a roadster.
Either you and it's just you and one other person all the time, or if you have a family and you want this car, you got to have a second car because it's a two-seater. That's it. Something else I liked about this, there's a little like windscreen. Some cars, it's an optional thing where there's like sort of like a wind blocker behind the headrest to help keep the
turbulence from hitting the back of the head.
Yes. Well, and just making noise. It's not even the wind. It's partly the wind blowing on you, but also partly the noise, which also helps make it a little bit quieter when you're driving at high speed. Sometimes, like if you get really going, you can't talk to the person next to you. But this one is still relatively quiet. It's not too much air in your face. It's not too aggressive.
Right.
So you can. It's a comfortable little car. And you know what I like? Okay, here's something else I really like. So I love BMWs. I am not a super fan of what they're doing with the grille on BMWs lately.
Yeah, well, I think we need to talk about this.
Okay, sometimes the grille is so big. It is like, what's that coming down the highway? I don't know if there's a car there. There's just a giant grille coming at me.
A grill coming at you.
They're huge. They're too big.
They lost the little, it almost looks less like the BMW grill.
It's gotten
it gets so big you don't even notice the two little, what do they call them, kidney grill?
Yeah.
And it looks less like a kidney grill and more just like a very large divided grill.
It's a very large divided grill. But this one, the way they've done the design on the front of this, it does have, it's the traditional BMW grill. It is updated. So it's not like what it was, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. But they kept it from looking so darn big that all you see is a grill. So it's one of the few BMWs I look at it and I think, oh, I like that from the back. I like that from the side. And I even like it from the front. So it's not this overwhelming grill in your face as it comes at you down the highway.
No one wants a grill in their face.
No one wants a grill in their face. No one. Hey everyone, if you like what you're hearing, then go ahead and hit that little button and subscribe and like it either on YouTube or your favorite podcatcher.
Well, iTunes reviews are always nice.
Oh yes, we're all about
but only positive ones. No one likes a negative Nelly.
No. Wow, negative Nelly.
No.
So only positive, what are positive?
Positive Pollies.
Positive Pollies? Okay, what do you call
Or Patricias. Patricias are also welcome. Or Pauls.
Pauls.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Those
are all good people.
So the other car they're going to talk about is another one that I had for a loaner not long ago. Very different. This is the Mazda CX-30, which is A compact crossover. It's a tiny little car. So this one does have seating in the back, and the thing is, this is a compact crossover, but it's not so compact you can't sit in the back seat. So that's the challenge with this, right? So you want to have a car that has 2 rows of seating because you want people to be able to sit behind you. It's not a roadster. It's not just it's not just 1 row seating. But you don't want something that's huge. This is sort of like the car for someone who you don't have people riding in the back seat all the time.
No.
You have sometimes people riding in the back seat.
Right.
Not necessarily for a road trip that's going 20 hours, but for like shorter times. Although I feel like it depends a lot on how tall the people are. So I feel like I had our daughter sit in the back seat. When I had the front seat adjusted for me, she's just a little bit shorter than I am. She was totally fine sitting in the back seat. She had plenty of room. That kid could have ridden back there for hours and would have been fine and wouldn't have been squished on a road trip. But if you have someone who's 6 foot up front, someone who's 6 foot behind them, and especially guys, because I feel like guys tend to push the seat. You don't just push the seat back; you also recline it, like you lounge.
Yeah, I like a good lounging situation in my car.
As soon as you lounge, you have squished the person in the back.
Lean back, the arm out on the steering wheel. You're like way back,
right? If you do that in this, you're not going to have room in the back seat.
No,
someone's going to be squished. Yeah. If you just ride normally, like a normal human, instead of like a guy, if you ride like a normal human, or if you're not tall, if you're like under 6 foot, you can easily have someone sitting in front and someone sitting back, no problem. So it's I think it's either for a couple or a family that has little kids, because little kids don't need all this leg room. They don't need all this headroom. So it's a good starter car for a family or for a couple or for somebody single. But if you're a big family or someone who always has, people constantly in and out of the back seats, probably not the best choice.
No.
So that's the drawback of it. But the plus side is that this gives you a little bit of SUV-ness without having to go full SUV. And the reason that that's a good thing is, first of all, SUVs are expensive. The more car you're getting, the more money you're shelling out. So if you want a big SUV, you got to have a big wallet, big budget to be able to afford that. That can be a challenge for a lot of people. This is more affordable, and any compact crossover more affordable than the large SUV that's in that same company's lineup. So this is a cheaper Mazda than going with some of the other ones. So that is one thing that makes it easier. This starts at like $24,000 and goes up to about.
That is very nice.
Yeah, but that's like a base term, remember? And also there's 2 engines in this. There's a naturally aspirated and a turbocharged engine. The turbo is only available on the top 2 trims, which take you to $36,000.
Okay.
So you're paying a little bit more, but honestly, guys, if you're looking at this car, the turbo is so much more fun. It's not just like automotive journalist speaking and saying, you got to.
Would you say the non-turbo feels underpowered?
I don't think that it feels underpowered. Like it's not it's not as engaging.
Okay.
It's like, oh, that's fine.
So you have enough to get around, especially for someone who doesn't need pickup. It's fine. You don't feel like the car is going to struggle.
No, it's
but
not.
The turbo's nice if you like a little pep when you pull out.
Exactly. Like there's enough to. I mean, you can put the non-turbo. That one can get you around just fine. Turboless, or some people say naturally aspirated.
Naturally aspirated. Yeah,
that's
which is it's almost like organic. Organically grown, free range.
Humanely
internal
harvested
combustion engine. Yes.
Mazda CX-30.
Right.
As opposed to the non-free range, artificially flavored.
Yeah, we're working on some new terminology here. We got to level up the non-turbo vehicles to sound a little more.
Okay. Yeah, so we're not saying naturally aspirated, we're saying organic.
Organic free range.
New terms. It sounds so happy.
Right.
So they're both fine, but if you're looking for that sort of classic Mazda experience, which is you have a nice, comfortable interior and you have a really fun car to drive, like Mazdas handle well.
Mazdas have always been fun cars to drive.
They are, and their thing is that like that driving dynamics. They're always, which means when you take a corner, they take a corner well. When when you go over a pothole, you don't feel like it's jostling you. Seams in the road go a little unnoticed.
Yeah,
the handling is nice and easy. It doesn't wear you out, and also it's just fun. So if you want to take it through a twisty, turny little side road,
you can do that.
You have fun with it instead of feeling like it's unwieldy or top heavy. heavy, no matter the size, no matter the Mazda. And so this gives you, I think the turbo gives you more of the fun of that handling. You enjoy it more than you would in the organic.
So worth the splurge, you're saying?
It's worth the splurge. And it's not a crazy splurge. Like $36K. Yes, you can get cheaper cars, but 36 isn't this outrageously expensive thing either.
Right.
So I feel like it's definitely worth it. And the interior is typically Mazda in that it's beautiful. Like the one I had like chocolate brown and like white.
I liked how that looked.
Yeah, right. And had like white leather, sort of like not like a pure white, like kind of a creamy white leather that was really nice. So I enjoyed driving this one, and I liked it was fun. Now the only thing, and I have never liked this about Mazdas, and it is my one gig on the Mazda brand in every single one, is I'm not a fan of their infotainment. And I know
they always feel a little behind.
Well, here's the thing. So there is a huge debate raging, right, within the community, automotive journalists and designers and engineers and all the people who study stuff and figure things out. What's the best way to have infotainment work so that it's not distracting? Because let's face it, you have a giant iPad stuck on your dashboard. It's a little distracting, right? Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of different ways you can control that. You can use voice controls, which are notoriously futzy. You say, bring me to Burger King, and it's like taking you to Midas Muffler. Like, that's not even close to what I said.
Right.
So you're always, voice controls can be a challenge, although they're getting better. They will say that's the sort of like the ideal way because you don't have to take your eyes or your hands from the road to do that. Mm-hmm. There's also touch pads that are like on the center console that have continually morphed and changed over the years, variety of touch pads, which they work better than they did. Again, though, a touchpad, you go over a bump and you've hit the wrong thing. The road surface significantly impacts how well a touchpad works and how distracting is that? You have one hand off the wheel on a touchpad, right? And you're, for a while, because you're using, your hand has to stay down there to scroll across the screen. And then you have touch screens and you have, which I think are sort of I think of those as the most popular ones and sort of the easiest ones and the most intuitive. And then there's controllers too. And this one has a rotary dial controller, like big controller on the center console.
Yeah, those are the worst.
Okay, I don't like this one. I find it more distracting for some reason. It is more distracting. And it's not intuitive. And I keep thinking like, okay.
It's because you have to do two things at once, I think. So you have to grab this controller thing, which I'll describe as a joystick. It doesn't look like a joystick, but it's kind of like a joystick.
And how all the functions.
And then at the same time, because the joystick is essentially moving a mouse essentially on your screen. It's moving the focus, if you will, the box around the different things you could click. You also must be staring at the screen while you do it. Yeah. Like you can't ever memorize like it's 3 clicks to the right to do this just because of how it's laid out. So you literally have to do 2 things at once. You're actually doing 3 things at once. One eye is trying to stay on the road, one eye is trying to watch the screen, and one hand is trying to figure it out. And I would say as a software person,
because that is your
the thing you want to think about the most here, automotive manufacturers, is reducing cognitive load, we call it, right? You want the least amount of impedance between the person deciding they want to do something and the number of thoughts they have to have on how to execute it. And so I think there's a lot of these different systems end up adding more layers to that. Even though maybe your eyes are technically on the road longer, your mind has to go away from your driving mode. And I think that slows you down. It makes it more dangerous.
For me, I feel like exactly what you said, the cognitive load of using it this way. Mm-hmm. You can look at all the official measurements. Your mind's doing 3 things at once now. Now, Mazda will tell you, and they will address this in the various things that we've done. Like, no, in the end, this is less distracting. And they will say that at presentations, like, no, it's
probably
not.
If you practice with it like 30,000 times. I just don't see it.
Right? And so I have a car for a week at a time. So I have a week to play around with it, and I could have a Mazda this week and whatever the next week. So I have them in 1 week little pops, right? It's not like I'm in one all the time. But I actually have talked to a couple people. I have a couple of good friends who own Mazdas who have this. And having posted a bunch of videos, because I'm like on YouTube and TikTok and those things, and I put little short videos up of all the cars I have all the time. When people comment, some people will say, yeah, it got a little easier as I had it for a while. But a large number of people are like, you know what? It's the one thing I don't like about my car. Yeah. I love my Mazda. I don't like this. One guy said it actually swayed me to not buy another Mazda. I went away from it. So I feel like, for some people, yes. And like if you're going to buy one, go play around with the one in the dealership for a little bit and make sure you like it.
But this is why CarPlay and Android Auto are winning, because back to the cognitive load thing, we've already figured out our phones. So as close as your car can be to your phone, I already know exactly what to do. As soon as you pull me farther and farther away from that, and no one uses mice and joysticks with their phones anymore, like you are creating a new thing for me that I have to relearn. And I just think it's a mistake. I think you got to go. The battle is lost.
And they do
this one, folks.
And I should be clear, depending on literally the year and the model that you get, it's a little bit different from one to the next. You have some that have some limited touchscreen functionality, but all of them have that rotary dial controller.
No rotary dials.
Hey, wait, did we just drive by a bakery?
No, actually, we walked right into a bakery.
Yes.
Technically, Bakehouse, that's their name.
Yeah, well, whenever we're in this location, which is Disney Springs, recording live from Disney Springs right now.
We're in Disney. We're not live. I mean, we're alive.
We're recording live, which will then be available later on tape. But we're recording live. They do this trick all the time on whatever. We're recording live in front of a studio audience. No, there's no studio audience. Recorded live in front of a hotel desk in Disney Springs.
Yes, so we're visiting Disney World to visit some friends. And one of my favorite places, now there's a bazillion things to eat here.
There are many bakeries here in Disney World.
Yeah.
Many.
There's one, I forget the name of it, it's gluten-free down there in
That's unnecessary.
It's terrible.
I mean, I'm sure some people out there appreciate that. I am not one of them.
I am not one of them either, but I do appreciate this. My favorite place, and there is another location in another spot in Florida, but it's called Gideon's Bakehouse.
Right in the heart of Disney Springs.
It's in the heart of Disney Springs. Okay, and I will tell you, you generally have to wait in line to get into
the first thing we should say
Bakehouse.
is this is very impressive because in Disney Springs itself, which is sort of the shopping area, if you will, as in the Disney World resort, there are many bakeries. Like there's a Sprinkles, there's a good chocolate ganache shop. There's an actual bakery that does cakes. There's like every kind of treat shop, every kind of baked goods. But only one has a line that people wait from 45 minutes to 2 hours.
Yes, Gideon's.
And it is Gideon's.
And now
so that should just tell you the level we're at right here.
Okay, so these cookies are meals. So if you look on their website, they actually say their cookies weigh about a half a pound of cookies. So what you're basically buying is a cookie for your whole family.
Yes.
Or yourself if you're just super hungry. But basically, it's a cookie for your whole family.
Yeah.
And they have really fun flavors. Like you're not just getting like chocolate chip, macadamia nut with white chocolate. They're all fun flavors. Like right now I was looking, they have like a triple chocolate. They have a cookies and cream, and they have a banana bread chocolate chip cookie right now.
Which is wonderful.
What? Yeah, right? There's coffee cake. They have orange pecan chocolate chip. There's a key lime. Some of these are available now.
Key
lime
some of these seems off-brand for them.
These are all, some of these are seasonal. So they have some cookies. So every month there's like a monthly kind of flavor. So right now, the monthly one, it's a peanut butter, what's this officially called? It's a peanut butter cookie, basically. Mm-hmm. It's this great peanut butter cold brew.
What?
Yeah.
Would you infuse the coffee into the...
They infuse the coffee.
So the reason I thought key lime was off-brand is that key lime is a very light, bright cake pie, right? Cookie. But the thing you have to know about Gideon's, and I think one of the reasons they get a long line, is not only are their cookies massive, tasty, and unique flavor profiles, but also Gideon's is a bake shop. Its theme, its feeling, is what you would get if Edgar Allan Poe woke up one day and decided he wanted to run a cookie store. Right?
I was describing it as like Harry Potter's Diagon Alley cookie shop.
But except it's dark. Like intentionally so, like gloomy. It's got like intentional gloom.
They have this sort of goth vibe to it.
Yeah, goth.
It's very dark, and they have art. It's these little creepy kids. It's like it's drawings, and they're
a
like,
little bit like the Jack the Pumpkin King. Those three little kids that wear the masks.
Yeah.
In that movie, it's kind of got that vibe. It's almost like it's Halloween every day, but it's not really Halloween.
It's not really scary.
No, but it's gloom.
Creepy.
It's gloomy. And all the workers wear like these black.
But they're super fun.
They're fun. They're friendly. They're peppy, and it's also a coffee shop.
Yes. Okay. Right? So I'm a huge coffee junkie, which I think everyone also knows. They have a coffee. I also like peanut butter. Peanut butter and coffee are not something you find a lot, or if they are, it's like it's a peanut butter coffee.
But it is a flavor like peanut butter and chocolate. It should be everywhere, and yet it's not.
But like when you get the rare peanut butter coffee out there, you don't normally taste the peanut butter very much.
Right.
But they have a peanut butter nitro cold brew coffee.
Ooh.
You guys.
Yeah.
It is so good. So the first time I got this, I was there with my 2 daughters, one of whom who cannot eat peanuts. And I'm like, well, I'm getting this coffee. My other one can share it with me. You can't have it. And she's like, I don't care. Once I tried it and was waxing poetic about how amazing this is, then my younger daughter tried it and she's like, oh, this is so good. And my older daughter's like, man,
I can't eat peanut butter.
Now I'm sad I can't try it because you guys seem to really enjoy that. So the peanut butter nitro cold brew coffee is amazing. And also because like right now I'm looking at my watch, 91 degrees. It's hot.
You need a cold brew. You don't want hot coffee in Florida.
Yeah. So the coffee is really good. So they have amazing cookie flavors. They have amazing coffee. They also, that's like, as if that's not enough, they also have cakes. Mm-hmm. And you can buy a slice of cake, but I feel like it's saying a slice of cake isn't quite fair. It's a slab. It is a slab.
It's a lot of cake. Don't be like, oh, look, they have 3 flavors I want. There's 2 people, it's we're a couple visiting today. We'll get all 3 flavors to try all 3. You will throw cake away. I mean, it's just so much cake. You can't eat it all. One slice will feed probably 3 to 4 people.
Oh my God, easily 3 to 4 people.
And 2 slices is like a family of 6.
Yes.
So be careful with the cake.
Yeah, but the thing is, you walk inside, and so you wait. So sometimes you have a choice. Either you can wait in the line, and I think the shortest I've ever seen it is probably about 20 minutes.
There's always a line.
And
I've seen
it
it's always a line.
Go for over an hour. At some points, and I don't know what the magical cutoff is, they actually have a virtual queue where you give them your phone number.
Yes.
They buzz you and say, come back within the next 10 minutes.
That seems to happen less and less since COVID, and now it's like you just wait in line. Because on a hot day is rough.
So it's just hard because it's just totally
it's
in
outside,
the sun.
it's the sun, there's no shade.
It's a very small shop. Inside there's something like maybe like 2 or 3 cash registers.
Yeah.
So it's not like there's 30 people and they're really slow. It's a teeny tiny little shop.
But the theming's so cool. Like there's just books everywhere.
It's all
like
dark.
Like Edgar Allan library.
Like your eyes actually take a minute to adjust to the light inside of this place. When you get inside, you have to like, oh wait, I am inside of Gideon's Bakehouse now. But the funniest thing, last time I was there, they had it's Disney World. There's birds flying around all over the place outside. There were like these ravens, right? That are flying around. They're not Gideon's ravens, but they're literally landing.
It's
on
because
the top
Edgar Allan Poe's there in spirit. I'm telling you,
it was as if the birds are like, "This is our spirit animal cookie shop. We're going to land here."
They are
so you're waiting, and there's ravens sitting on. I was like, you couldn't have staged this better if you tried.
Nope, you don't have to.
But yeah, so it is my favorite cookie shop, and it's so hard. It's so hot, but I love these cookies.
Well, here's the problem. We're sitting here recording this in Saratoga Springs, which is literally there's this little bit of water, and then right across that little bit of water is Gideon's.
It's right there.
It's a really short walk.
I could go over there, grab cookies, bring them back to the hotel room. We could just skip dinner and
we could sign off right now and go over there.
We could sign off right this minute and go over there.
Thanks for listening to The Road Reflected. To follow more of Nicole Wakeland's adventures, head on over to NicoleWakeland.com. There you'll find links to her social media from TikTok to Twitter, as well as her work across a wide range of media outlets. Until next time, keep it shiny side up.